next, be a fly on the wall of your child's classroom. Teachers weigh in on what parents can do to offer better support. That's next.
One of the things a parent needs to think about first is, hey, the teacher's the expert, and I need to trust that.
Welcome back to Studio 5. Despite your volunteering in the classroom, despite your involvement with homework, you might wonder if what you're doing to help your child is really making a difference. Chet Linton of the School Improvement Network is here to share what 4 ways you can advocate for your child without being that parent. So just so we're clear, this is what teachers say they could use a little more of from parents. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. We, you know, oftentimes we hear teachers say, or I've heard many times a teacher or a coach will say, man, I love those kids, but the parent. And we decided we'd ask teachers, you know, what do they think? What are their thoughts? Are there things that we should be aware of? So we had 12,000 respond and give us input on what they thought would be helpful for parents to know.
This is going to be really interesting. I think a lot of parents will be eager to know. And we're not only talking about problem solving at school, right? A lot of that trickles into the home front.
Right. This is any time. This is just good, sound advice and feedback that is very good for every student, not just the problem child or that child.
The first thing teachers say is that parents oftentimes forget whose team they're on.
Right, and the team really is the teacher, the student, and the parent. And we forget that, and parents need to remember that, you know, it's very important that they don't pit their student, their child, against the teacher. And even if the kid, even if their child gets a bad grade, they should ask the teacher and get the teacher's perspective. What is going on? What happened? What can I help with? And be more supportive of my student, and not just take the first thing their child says as gospel.
So just to reiterate that, if we're going to role play a little bit, and a child comes home from school with a complaint, and they're kind of leveraging that complaint against the teacher, saying, oh, they're unfair in this way, or they're not supporting me in that way, what should the parent's response be?
So one of the things the parent needs to think about first is, hey, the teacher's the expert, and I need to trust that. The second piece then is their response should be, have you spoken with your teacher about it? Because it's really important that parents advocate with have their children advocate for themselves, because these are life skills. We want them to be able to figure out what it means, have confidence, and be able to ask their teachers, what's going on? What does this really mean? Why did I get this bad grade? What can I do differently? And if parents can be supportive and helpful, that's critical for the child's development. But then also they need to teach their students how to be respectful to the teacher as well.
I love it. It's a dual lesson, really, in that setting. And that kind of goes into your next idea of facilitating the school-to-home communication in a way that's open, but is also teaching the child to be the voice of that communication themselves.
Exactly right. And the other part that parents need to be sensitive to is it's important that they're patient and also consistent with their communication. If they can, they should go to parent-teacher conference. If they can't, send somebody there and ask the teacher, what's the best way to communicate? How can I find out how my student's really doing? Remember that in Utah, most of our schools, our elementary schools, those teachers have more than 30 students, and in middle school and high school, they may have 180 or 200 kids. So to think about sending an email every night to parents is really impossible, but asking what works best for the teacher is a great way to get feedback. And maybe it's just sending a simple note to say, hey, how are things going? And the teacher can send a simple response back, and then just open up the communication and be patient.
I love that, attaching the word patience with communication. So we could all use that in many different relationships. What do teachers say about the busy lives of kids? We all know that kids are involved outside of the classroom in a lot of different extracurricular activities. Did the teachers weigh in on that at all?
Oh, they did. Don't overschedule.
Don't overschedule.
Yeah, in fact, what we found is that, you know, so often, especially it seems here in our state, there are just dozens and dozens of choices. It's not uncommon to hear about students that are on 3 athletic teams, that are learning 2 musical instruments, that are involved in some church or community thing, and oh yeah, they need to do homework sometime, and plus be part of their family. So it's very important that we remember kids need to be kids. We need to give them time to do that, and it's okay if they're not overprogrammed. In fact, research shows that they need at least 30 minutes a day to be a kid, and not have something every single minute. In fact, my son, just a couple weeks ago, I said, hey, let's go do something. How about Thursday? And he said, and he's 10. He said, Dad, that's my only free night. have soccer, I have basketball practices, I've got games, I have Chinese, and he gave me a list that shocked me, and I realized that he knew his schedule, and it's really important as parents that we help our students, our children learn the importance of scheduling, but then also let them be kids.
Well, if anything, I appreciate you sharing the findings. These are just a few I know of the facts that you pulled away from this survey, because it helps us kind of crack into the teacher's mindset and see things through their eyes a little bit, which changes the game.
Yeah. Yes, it does. And we need to remember, teachers care. They want our children to be as successful as we do, sometimes maybe even more, and recognizing that they do, and how can we best support them as we're all trying to accomplish really the same thing. It goes a long way with the teacher.
Absolutely, same goal in mind. Chet, thank you. Thank you so much. We'll post those helpful points on our website. If you want to review those, I think a lot of parents will find those eye-opening and great reminders to draw from. We'll also let you know that Chet's organization, the School Improvement Network, can be a great resource for parents and for teachers. Check them out at schoolimprovement.com.